Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Priyanka Chaudhary. In the previous video, we have learned about the basic development of the eye. In this video, I'll be talking about development of the cornea. The development of the cornea, it starts on 33rd day of gestational age, and triggering factor is separation of the lens vesicle from the surface ectoderm. So we know that cornea is made up of basically 5 layers. The anterior most or the superficial most layer is epithelial layer, which is 6 to 7 layered, and then comes Bowman's membrane, then stroma, then Descemet's membrane, and finally the single layer of endothelium. So the normal adult cornea is made up of these 5 layers. So how these layers develop? The first layer, the surface epithelial cells, they are derived from the surface ectoderm. The Bowman's membrane is nothing but the condensation of the anterior-most part of the stroma. Then the stroma is made up of the mesenchymal cells, which are derived from the mesoderm, and the keratocytes present in the stroma are derived from the neural crest cells. Then comes Descemet membrane. Descemet membrane and endothelial cells are derived from the first wave of the neural crest cells, and the keratocytes present in the stroma are derived from the uh, third wave of the neural crest cells. And what are the neural crest cells? That we have already discussed in the previous video. So neural crest waves. What are the neural crest waves? So this diagram is showing the neural crest cells waves and the structures developing from them. The first neural crest wave, it forms the corneal endothelium and the Descemet's membrane. In the second wave, it forms the iris and pupillary membrane. The third wave, it forms the keratocytes. So this diagram is all about this. Now coming back to this diagram, it is showing the development of the cornea at various stages during the embryonic and the fetal life. Okay, so the A picture is showing the corneal status, development of the cornea at 39th day of the gestational age. On 39th day of gestational age, you can see here the epithelium is two-layered, and there is a narrow space between the epithelium and the endothelium. This is the primordial endothelium, which is derived from the first wave of the neural crest cells, and it is made up of two layers. The normal adult cornea is made up of single layer of the endothelial cells. So these two layers of the cells, epithelium and the endothelium, are separated by the narrow space in between them. And here the diagram B is showing the insinuation of the stroma. This stroma is derived from the mesenchymal cells from the mesoderm, which surrounds the optic-rim. Okay, so on 7.5 weeks of the gestational age, you can see here the stroma is getting more and more organized. And here the stroma has the keratocytes, which are derived from the third wave of the neural crest cells. And these keratocytes are arranged in 3 to 5 layers. And diagram D is showing the development of the cornea on third month of the gestational age. You can see here the epithelial layer of the cornea is made up of 2 to 3 layers. Then the stroma, it has got keratocytes. These keratocytes laying down the collagen fibers, type 1 collagen fibers, and the glycosaminoglycans. And these keratocytes are arranged into 25 to 30 layers of the cells. The endothelium here is single layered, and Descemet's membrane is present. Descemet membrane before the third month of the gestational age cannot be identified, cannot be seen. But on third month, we can see the Descemet's membrane, but it's not clearly demarcated or it's not continuous. Development of the zonula occludens, which are the tight junctions, tight apical endothelial junctions, which develop on middle of fourth month, corresponds to the formation of the aqueous humor by the ciliary process, obviously because it prevents the seepage of the aqueous humor inside the corneal layers. This picture is showing the scanning electron microscopy of anterior surface of the corneal epithelium at 7th week of the gestational age. You can see here the epithelial cells are covered by the microvilla and microphyci, and the adult appearance of the corneal epithelium is achieved at around 5th to 6th months of the gestational age, and it corresponds to opening of the eyelids of the fetus. Now this diagram is about the development of the Bowman's layer. The Bowman's layer is on 18th week, it shows two layers, lamina densa and lamina lucida, on scanning electron microscopy. The lamina densa is near the stromal side, lucida is towards the epithelial side, and the diagram B is the status of the or the development of the Bowman's membrane at around 26th week of the gestational age. So here you can see the lamina densa is thicker, and diagram C is nothing but the magnified picture of B. You can see here there are more collagen fibrils densely packed. Diagram D is showing the Bowman's layer at 1 year of age after birth. This diagram is showing the developmental status of desmus membrane at various stages. So the picture A is showing the two layers of desmus membrane at 12th week of the gestational age. It is showing the lamina densa and lamina lucida. Lamina densa is towards the stromal side, and lamina lucida is towards the endothelial side. Diagram B is showing the status of the desmus membrane. It is showing three layers of electron dense area alternated with the electron lucent area. At 19th week of the gestational age, it is showing such five layers, five electron dense layers, which are separated by the five electron lucent layers. And diagram D is the status of the desmus membrane at 26th week of the gestational age, and it is showing 10 such electron dense layers alternated with the electron lucent layers. So as we have seen, the desmus membrane is seen at 3rd months of the gestational age initially, but it's not clearly demarcated. It becomes clearly demarcated at 6 months of the gestational age, and at birth on scanning electron microscopy we can see such 30 to 40 layers of the electron dense layers alternated with the electron lucent areas. So that was about the development of the desmus membrane. Any deviation from the normal development of the cornea leads to various anomalies. For example, megalocornea, microcornea, corneal leucoma, fetus anomaly, posterior embryotoxon, Axenfeld anomaly, Rigus anomaly, Axenfeld-Rigus anomaly, Axenfeld-Rigus syndrome, and congenital corneal dystrophies. So what is microcornea? Microcornea is when the horizontal diameter of cornea is less than 10 millimeters. In some articles it is given less than 11 millimeters. In some articles it is given as less than 10 millimeters. When the cornea doesn't reach to its normal size, it is more than 10 millimeters. In adulthood, it's called as microcornea. So this is the picture of an adult showing the bilateral microcornea. What is megalocornea? When the corneal horizontal diameter is more than 13 millimeters, it is called as megalocornea. When it is not associated with the increased intraocular pressure, the intraocular pressure should be normal, then only it is called as megalocornea. This is the picture of scleralization of the cornea. Normally, the cornea, the stroma, is made up of type 1 collagen fibers which are arranged parallelly, and regular arrangement of the collagen fibers is seen in the stroma of the cornea. And in the sclera, this arrangement, the type 1 collagen fiber is present, but this regular arrangement is not present, and that's why it is opaque white in color because of the dispersion of the light waves. And in stroma, it doesn't happen because of the regular arrangement of the collagen fibers. When the normal keratinocytes they don't lay down the collagen fibers in a regular fashion, that leads to scleralization of the cornea, and that leads to corneal leucoma. Now there are different types of the corneal opacities: nebula, macula, and leucoma. Nebular opacity is when you can see the iris and pupillary details in a much better way. Macular is when you can see them with difficulty, and in leucomatous corneal opacity, which involves the stroma more than 15%, and that's why you cannot see on slit lamp the pupil and lens details. You cannot see at all. So this was about the congenital corneal leucoma. Then what is Peters anomaly? There are two types of the Peters anomaly, 1 and 2. Peters anomaly is characterized by the central corneal opacities. So it can be unilateral or bilateral. In 50% of the cases, the corneal opacity, which is central, is bilateral. In many disorders, because of the anterior segment dysgenesis, are Peters anomaly, Axenfeld anomaly, posterior embryotoxon, Rigus anomaly, and Axenfeld-Rigus syndrome. As these are because of the anterior segment dysgenesis, they are usually associated with the glaucoma. You can see here in picture B. This is the picture B is about type 1 Peters anomaly. There is a central corneal opacity, and ultrasound biomicroscopy here you can see the iridocorneal adhesion. And in picture D you can see there is lenticular corneal adhesion, that is type 2 Peters anomaly. So that was all about the Peters anomaly. You can refer this article to study the Peters anomaly in detail. This picture is about the complete shawl-based ring, bilateral complete shawl-based ring, and gonioscopy of it, showing the Axenfeld anomaly also, Riggle's anomaly also, and that's why it is called as Axenfeld-Riggle's anomaly. Now, what is posterior embryotoxon? Posterior embryotoxon is nothing but the anteriorly displaced prominent shawl-based line, which can be seen on the inner surface of the cornea on slit lamp examination. So you can see here this white grayish white ring on the slit lamp examination, which is on the inner surface of the cornea, and it is complete. So it is shawl-based ring that is prominent anterior displaced, which is called as posterior embryotoxon. What is anterior embryotoxon then? Anterior embryotoxon is arcus senilis, and posterior embryotoxon is anteriorly displaced prominent shawl-based line. Okay, so that was about the posterior embryotoxon. What is Axenfeld anomaly? Axenfeld anomaly is when there is anterior embryotoxon associated with the broad leaves of the iris attached to the short baseline. Okay, so this is the gonioscopic examination. This blue arrow here, showing the broad leaves of the iris getting attached to the short baseline, and the short baseline is pigmented. And the pigmented line that anteriorly placed to the short baseline is called as symphysis line. It can be seen in the glaucoma also, pigmentary glaucoma also. So this was about Axenfeld anomaly. And these two diagrams, you can see the pupil. The pupil is also abnormal. The pupil is not central. It's peripherally placed, that is correctopia. And it is a feature of Rigus anomaly or Rigus anomaly. Rigus anomaly is nothing but there is posterior embryotoxin which is associated with the stromal hypoplasia uh, with or without correctopia and polychoria. So coming to Axenfeld-Rieger syndrome, we have seen Axenfeld anomaly, we have seen Rieger's anomaly, we have seen Axenfeld-Rieger's anomaly. What is Axenfeld-Rieger syndrome then? When Axenfeld-Rieger's anomaly is associated with the extraocular manifestations involving the systemic abnormalities, then it is called as Axenfeld-Rieger syndrome. Now, this extraocular manifestation spectrum, it includes the central nervous system anomalies as it is associated with the craniofacial abnormalities, for example, abnormal ear, maxillary hypoplasia, microdontia, that is small size teeth, then hypodontia means in decrease in the number of teeth. The diagram I showing the microdontia and hypodontia. Hypodontia we cannot comment, but microdontia is seen here. Then in picture H here, you can see the redundant periumbilical skin. Okay, there can be telecanthus, hypertelorism, then cardiorenal anomalies also. Picture A is about incomplete posterior embryotoxon, that is anterior displaced prominent shawl baseline. These two white arrows showing posterior embryotoxon. Then picture B is about polychoria. Polychoria is because of incomplete disintegration of the pupillary membrane at various places that leads to polychoria. Again, it is showing the correctopia. In picture C, you can see the iristomal hypoplasia. These are my references for this PowerPoint presentation. Thank you so much for your patience.